Courage is defined as the ability to do something that frightens one, or strength in the face of pain or grief. People think of courage and they often conjure up images of heroes, people who've overcome impossible odds or fought their way through dangerous circumstances. And those people are called heroes, and they certainly demonstrate courage. And they do it in extraordinary circumstances quite often. Most of them, however, never calculate the risks that they had to go through to do what they did. They just did what needed to be done. But does courage require you to be a hero? I often think of courage as a description. This is a famous one, perhaps you recognize it. What makes a king out of a slave? Courage. What makes a flag on the mast to wave? Courage. What makes an elephant charge his tusk in the misty mist, in the dusky dusk? What makes the muskrat guard his musk? Courage. What makes the Sphinx the seventh wonder? Courage. What makes the dawn come up like thunder? Courage. What makes the Hottentot so hot? What puts the ape in apricot? What do they got that I ain't got?
Courage.
Thank you, Oz fans. The Cowardly Lion was looking for courage in The Wizard of Oz. And when you hear a description of courage like that, it makes you think it's some grandiose thing. Certainly suitable for heroes, but does courage need to be dramatic? Let's consider the actions of Michael Hinkson. Michael Hinkson was on the 78th floor of World Trade Center Tower 1 on September 11, 2001, when Flight 11 hit that building. Everyone in his office was certain they were going to die that day. But Michael Hinkson led them down nearly 1,500 steps to the street below, a group of them. Michael Hinkson did not leave those people alone. Michael Hinkson was blind. He had a guide dog, a Labrador named Roselle, who led him to the stairway, and his office people followed him. And that's how a blind man and his guide dog led a group of coworkers to safety on 9/11. It took them nearly an hour to reach the street, and they were only there a few minutes when the building came down, and Roselle led Michael again to safety, this time in a subway entrance. Now, people might think of Michael and Roselle as heroes, and indeed, those were incredible circumstances. But do you need to exhibit heroism to be courageous? I say no. Every day, we're surrounded by people who are facing fear and grief and pain. And they're courageous, and we don't even know it. Let's go back to that definition. Courage is the ability to do something that frightens one, or it's strength in the face of pain or grief. There are people all around us facing fear and pain. And I know, because I required courage to get through a personal trial of my own. When I was 18 years old, I went away to college. I was 400 miles from home, and I didn't know anybody at all on my college campus. But I was shy. I was reluctant to introduce myself to new people because I was afraid of rejection, I suppose. Not certain really why. But after a while, it became apparent that nobody was necessarily going to introduce themselves to me, so it was going to be up to me to break the ice. And I began to meet people. And I met some really good friends. I also met many, many, many dull and uninteresting people. And I met a few people I wish I had never met. But I found out that it really wasn't so bad to go out and introduce yourself. For the most part, it was okay. So I know from that experience that it required courage for me to overcome that fear. I know there are other people that use courage every day. Some people apply courage to get through a day with depression. And it just takes everything they have to get out and make it through one day. Other people use courage to get through chronic pain for another day. Some people use courage to overcome situations like walking into a room of strangers. Other people overcome the fear of public speaking. Other people might use fear to fake it through another day and act normal while they're grieving the loss of a loved one. There are people around us everywhere who are courageous, and none of them will be called heroes, most likely, but they have courage nonetheless. So you don't need to be dramatic to be courageous, and you don't need to be a hero to be courageous. So,